I give my spoiler-free review to Dune Part 2, and 11 fights a dragon. I'm Israel Wright, and this is your First Formation. So, I saw Dune Part 2 over the weekend, and I would like to give you my spoiler-free review. First of all, if you're wondering, 10 out of 10, totally recommend it. See it on the largest screen possible. See it in IMAX if you can, because it's an epic scale story, right? It's universe spanning. It's got amazing vistas. You're on Dune, Arrakis, desert planet, and yeah, definitely you should see it in a large theater. So this is part 2. The great thing about it is if you saw part 1, it starts immediately after the events of part 1. So we're right into the story of Paul. This one is, I think, the second half of the first book. Paul Atreides is coming into his own. He's earning the trust of the Fremen. He is gaining his abilities, and he's got to drink the water of life. And this one's got Fath Rotha Harkonnen, played so well by Austin Butler. He's really got that no blinking stare down. I don't think he blinked the entire movie. I would like to actually go back and watch it again, this 2-hour and 46-minute epic, and pay special attention to his performance to see if he actually blinks in the movie, because he does a great job. My favorite part of the film, without giving too much away, you see it in the trailer, is the arena scene with Fath Harkonnen, and they have I guess the Gidi Prime, the Harkonnen homeworld, has a black sun, and it's totally like white out outside. Everybody's like washed out, totally white when they're in the sun. And they have the great fight scene where actually they have some leftover Atreides soldiers from their invasion from their attack on the Atreides on Dune. Totally wiped them out. They got 2 guys that they drug, but the one dude, this Asian guy, they don't drug, and it's actually kind of a trick that the Baron plays on him, kind of like give him some real danger on his birthday celebration, and it's pretty cool. It's Roger Youn. I'm uncultured swine. I can't say his name correctly, but he was actually the fight coordinator and stunt coordinator for both Dune films. So he gets a fun little cameo, and he is the guy who has taught them their cool fighting techniques. So if you see a fight in the Dune movies, then he is the guy who choreographed it. So he gets a fun little cameo. He puts up a good fight. Spoilers, it does not go well for him, but there's a cool line that Austin Butler has when he defeats this guy. He's like, "You fought well, Atreides," and then that has kind of another meaning later on down the line. So no spoilers. I'm not doing a very good job of not spoiling stuff. So let's just move on. Anyway, big things about the story. Obviously, visually beautiful. Denis Villeneuve is a great visual storyteller. I actually think if he didn't have as good an actors as he had cast in this movie, I would say the story, the human story that is being told in the movie, might have suffered. He's definitely more concerned about the visuals of the movie, telling a visual story, and I've seen articles where he's talked about he definitely loves the visual medium of filmmaking, and so I can understand that. But I think maybe the human element kind of got lost in it. But you guys can tell me what you think once you see it. But really just a lot of fun. I liked it actually a little bit better than the first one. The first Dune movie did a lot of world building, right? So you had to get to know people. There's a lot of talk about who people are, where they're going, the big setup, and all that kind of stuff. And it was still beautiful, but this one, you already know who people are, and so you're often running into watching the story. The fight scenes are amazing. The big battle scenes are really a lot of fun. Javier Bardem does an amazing job. Has a very relatable almost kind of an off-kilter kind of humor character, but he's also very serious. He's a true believer in Paul. He believes in the prophecy, and there's even a little bit of division within the Fremen in the movie about if some tribes believe in him, like the southern tribes believe in him, the northern tribes aren't really that religious, so there's almost this kind of like Middle Eastern Sunni Shia kind of thing going on, which I don't know if that was an inspiration for the original books, but It's definitely like Space Jesus oil kind of stuff going on. Ultimately, great time watching this film. I would definitely go see it again if I get the opportunity, but I can totally recommend Dune Part 2. Up next, Millie Bobby Brown stars in Damsel, coming to Netflix on Friday. I am a huge fantasy fan. Fantasy sci-fi, that's like my bread and butter. That's my go-to if you were to ask me any kind of media that I want to consume. The genres are fantasy and sci-fi, though I like a lot of different things. Those are like kind of like my go-to. So fantasy setting, right? You got Millie Bobby Brown in a classic fantasy type setting. In the latest trailer, there's kind of they set her up as she's this kind of this princess who is getting ready to be married off to another prince from a kingdom far away. And it turns out it's all kind of a big, kind of like a deal with the devil kind of thing, where this kingdom has a setup where somehow they have to get princesses or damsels to marry them off, and then they throw them in a pit, and then they get eaten by a dragon. That's kind of their path to prosperity, folks. It's the medieval deal with the devil dragon path to success in this medieval kingdom. It's a lot like, actually, Dragon Slayer, 1981, Peter McNichol, classic fantasy, same premise, where basically this kingdom has a deal where if they sacrifice a young woman every year in this fixed lottery, then this dragon leaves them alone, and then Peter McNichol's character, Galen Brad Warden, who's like a sorcerer's apprentice, a magician's apprentice. Apprentice? I'm saying all the great words today. A magician's apprentice. He gets in the mix, and he goes in there and tries to slay the dragon. And it's actually a really good story. It's a great, well-told story. This one has a similar premise. Millie Bobby Brown gets portrayed. She gets thrown down in there. She's running from the dragon. She's tearing the sleeves off of her dress. She's got to climb the crystal caves with her crown. If you watch the first trailer, it doesn't give a lot away. And it may seem kind of like the classic Hollywood today. They got the classic, they got the girl boss, they got the Mary Sue, they love role reversals. We like the role reversals. We like taking roles that were traditionally given to men and just kind of swapping them out for women. And I don't know that this is necessarily the case in this one. It may be naive to say that, but looking at the trailer, especially the second trailer, the one we're going to be using for this video, she's idealized. She thinks she's going to be marrying a prince, right? She's a standard kind of princess, and then she doesn't know how to handle the situation she's in, so she has to overcome. She has some obstacles set in her way. It seems like she's got it mostly physical. I guess she's doing a lot of rock climbing, right? She's maybe going to do some sword fighting. And if you pay real close attention, the trailer kind of gives away 99% of the movie, which is a little too bad. I guess that's just how it is these days. But so it's not necessarily like a Mary Sue type situation. It doesn't seem that way to me, at least. But it's how you execute that, right? Got to have a relatable character. Got to have qualities that are realistic for that time and place where she would be placed in. And I don't know if it's going to indicate this in the beginning of the story, but if she seems like a pretty princess, and so if they're going to have her do all these like physical activities, there's got to be something that helps her, something that sets her character up for it to be believable that she would have these kind of physical abilities or mental abilities, whatever. It just has to make sense. It's just basic storytelling, right? You can't just have a character do things that haven't, at least to some extent, been set up that they have the ability to do, earlier in the film, right? You got to set these things up. So, looks kind of fun. It looks like it'll have some fun action in it. I don't really know. It all depends on how it all comes together. You know what I mean? So, I'll be interested to see Damsel when it comes out Friday. Let me know what you think. What were your impressions of the trailer? And are you excited for this? Looks like kind of a fun classic fantasy type movie. Could be just another, a piece of Hollywood trash, or could be kind of fun. What do you think, Damsel? That's it for the first formation, folks. Be sure to check out the debrief, and we got some special game review stuff coming up in the very near future. Be sure to keep an eye out on this YouTube channel, and we'll see you on the next first formation.